Welcome to the CrossFit Max podcast.
What is going on, guys? And thank you for tuning in to another episode. We got a little bit of a longer one, but I'm going to get real personal in this episode and talk about my childhood. So we hope that you dig it. We also have a relatively longer banter topic. We're discussing the first open workout. And if you just want to kind of bypass that, just skip ahead about 20 minutes where we get into today's topic. But I think you're going to enjoy the banter topic as well. All right, let's get to it. Give me that. Thank you. All right, you ready? Oh, yeah. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
You were totally recording that whole time, weren't you?
I definitely was recording that whole time.
You sneaker.
All right,
everybody,
guys.
Wait. Shh. I need to reintroduce you to the podcast.
Wow.
Everybody, welcome back. Coach Brandon in the building.
Well,
we missed you last week, but not really.
You know, my list did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it was so fun. I get so nervous when you're not there.
Yeah, we should also tell people why we're not super loud right now, because we're doing an unusual record time in our kitchen at 8:45 p.m. and Thomas is sleeping one wall behind us.
And we would like to keep it that way.
So if you hear our sexy voices right now,
welcome back to the CrossFit Max podcast.
We will not
Smooth jams.
We will not be screaming this episode. But yeah, Malis did an incredible job on the podcast. I really enjoyed it. And also,
she's like, I just love when we have guests. They're all so brave to just take the bull by the horns.
Yeah. It's been a couple, well, when did we do our previous podcast? Oh, it was right after vacation. Yeah, we had just got back.
Like right when we got back. Also in the kitchen. Also while Thomas was sleeping. But that was like during a nap.
Yeah, this is nighttime. So, yeah. Well, hopefully you guys are having a great day, whatever day, time you're listening to this. And we're going to banter topic the CrossFit Open, the first open workout.
25.1.
Yeah, so hopefully those who are listening and actually participated in the Open, we hope that you enjoyed the Open as much as we did. The workout, the energy, the vibe, all the things. I guess we can only talk from our personal experience at CrossFit Max, and I feel like I freaking love this shit. like
if you didn't already really love it, you like super love it now.
The energy and the fun, the atmosphere of the Friday night lights that we host, it is by far my favorite nights of the entire year. And I may have said that for the neon workout, but I lied. I love the neon workouts, but the Friday night lights is completely different, completely unique. But man, the atmosphere of coming into the gym, everyone feeling the stress and the butterflies and the nerves.
Oh my gosh, my butterflies were next level. But anywho,
to do a workout that is going to be put out to the world. You're literally going to do this workout with 200, maybe 300,000. I'm actually not sure. Could probably find out what the total is now, but probably 200,000 to 300,000 people on a global scale, all doing the same workout.
So cool.
It is such a vulnerable moment for someone to put themselves out there, because you are putting yourself on a leaderboard. But at the end of the day, I really look at this as a massive participation, this group of people on a global level who are showing that health and fitness should be a top priority in your life. And those Friday nights is just the accumulation of everything I've just said in a room with everyone going through those highs and lows, all the emotions,
right,
and then expressing themselves through exercise. Yeah.
I feel like there's nothing more epic than watching people push themselves to a zone that they don't usually go to.
It's true. Yeah, you can do a ton of workouts, but when you get in the open, like you said, that zone is just a different one. It's
just like you see people go to a place that, for some of our members, especially the newer members, a place that they maybe have never been before, or that maybe if they like played sports when they were kids and it's kind of like they're coming back to some sort of sport now, and so it's been a long time, and you know, people have the game face on, they're pushing themselves, they're fighting for their reps, they're doing those little like grunts and stuff, screams if you're Jason, but you know, like people are just giving it so much, and you can feel the passion and the effort, and it's like my favorite thing to watch.
Yeah. And then once you do that, there's this huge sense of pride, accomplishment, and then you hang out in the fan zone at CrossFit Max after, and then you literally want the next person up, the next wave coming in, to do their very best that they can. And you bring the highest energy you can to helping them get one more rep or one more round, or lifting a heavier barbell, or accomplishing a movement that they didn't think they could do, you know?
Yep.
Special.
Very special.
Very special. So
how did you find the workout yourself on a personal level, Coach B?
How did I find the workout?
Should we say what the workout was, just so
quick.
that people who are listening in 2027 and they're gone back to the beginning of our podcast?
Quick. Someone in 2027 is going to laugh right now.
What's up?
But so the workout, quick reminder, was a 15-minute AMRAP, more like a ladder, where you had 3 lateral burpees over the dumbbell, 3 dumbbell, hang, clean, and jerk.
Single dumbbell.
And then you had to do a body weight walking lunge for 30 feet total. It was 15 feet one way and then back for 15 feet.
Right.
And then in the next round and all the following rounds after that, the burpee and the clean
goes
increased by 3 repetitions, and the lunge stayed at 30 feet.
Yeah.
So when 3-3, 30 feet, 6-6, 30 feet, 9-9, etc. for as high as you can in a 15-minute timer. I'm not going to say from a personal level just yet, but from a coaching level, I felt like I don't think I could have prepared the community better for this type of workout.
I totally agree.
The amount of ascending ladders and AMRAPs and stuff like that, where we've done this type of stuff at CrossFit Max, I felt very, very happy.
It felt like you programmed this workout.
Yeah. The amount of single dumbbell work that I've made people do,
and
dumbbell
also
hang clean and jerks.
Heavy. Recently,
dumbbell snatches. We've invested in those 70-pound dumbbells. So the girls have been using the 50s and the guys have been using the 70s.
Yeah, and just like in the week prior, so we did the open workout on the Friday. I think on the Monday or the Tuesday, we had those heavy dumbbells in it. So I had used the 50-pound dumbbell on like the Monday or Tuesday, and Friday picking up the 35. It made it feel like a lightweight. Yeah. So it was just really, I mean, it didn't feel like a lightweight later into the workout, but at the start of the workout it sure did.
and it was also really cool because I found it was a very similar workout to the year prior, where it was dumbbell snatch and lateral burpees over the dumbbell.
Loved.
And that one was also 35 pounds for the ladies and 50 pounds for the men, and it was very similar vibes, almost similar, identical workout. And there was a lot of athletes who did it last year for the first time.
Right.
And were struggling with that 35-pound dumbbell or 50-pound dumbbell.
They were doing like long singles, giving their whole freaking world to get that dumbbell up.
Yep. And also walked into the gym and thought to themselves they couldn't do it.
Yeah, right? Like Nat is a standout for me when you think about that.
Yeah.
And then this year,
they were slinging that dumbbell around. Lightweight, just moving it. So from a coaching perspective, I felt really proud that the amount of ascending ladders that I've programmed for the groups, the amount of single dumbbell work we've done, the amount of lateral burpees over the dumbbell. Like I've really programmed a lot of those for you guys. So I felt really like proud to be like, wow, you know what? Like I've prepared my community as best as I possibly could.
Yeah. And it showed in people's performances.
Yeah, it was cool. And then from a personal, I felt accomplished after, like, not to make any excuses at all, but since we've gone back from vacation, I've really had a hard time, like,
your energy
pushing.
Levels. Yeah,
my energy levels have been really tough. That 16-hour time difference really messes with me.
But they say for every hour of time difference, you need a full day. So it in theory, like we're only just like 16 days from getting back home.
Yeah.
Like we're still like, this is kind
like
of the
not-
first week
not-
where we should be adjusted.
Yeah, not to use that as an excuse, but I find like my energy levels leading up to the open have just been like so out of whack. And you know that second wind that you get, you know, when you start getting tired and then you kind of like pull yourself together, like shut up, like let's freaking go, and then you just kind of push through at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like I really lack that in the 2 weeks leading up to the open since we got back.
Right.
But all that aside, I felt decent. I felt pretty good on the Friday night. The energy from the crowd. So for those of you guys who don't know, we have Friday Night Lights. We started people at 4:45 p.m. and then just shot them every 17 minutes, essentially all night. And then the coaches go at the very, very end.
Yeah.
Not optimal for us either.
No.
Also, like we've been now standing for several hours.
Judging
We've been
people.
judging people. We've been screaming at people. We're like yelling the whole time. You know, by the end of that, when it's my turn to work out, like our voice is completely gone.
Yeah. My mouth was pasty in that workout.
Yeah. But the crowd brought a lot of energy, and I felt so good during. And it was also, I don't know why, it was just like one of the first open workouts that I'm like, I truly didn't really care about my performance. I really just cared about the evening.
I literally cannot relate.
Yeah, you had complete opposite.
The absolute opposite.
So I really didn't really care about my performance. I know from a competitive, like I'm internally competitive, I just wanted to give my best effort.
Yeah, like you cared
stood,
about giving your best effort,
exactly,
but you didn't care about what that meant.
I didn't care what that meant. So I literally feel like I executed it really well. I paced myself at the beginning of this. This was very much a burpee workout for most people, including myself. And I paced myself and was able to maintain a decent pace. I ended up doing 203 repetitions, which puts me somewhere around the 75 percentile. But typically in burpee workouts, it's always been my least, what do you call it? I guess my least best performance. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
How to say that properly.
Like
my worst workout.
You're not the strongest in burpees.
Yeah. Like it's typically the worst when there's a heavy burpee workout. It typically just do the worst out of all the open workouts. So I feel like I executed it pretty well. I kept up with someone who is pretty good at burpees, and that's you.
It's me. I'm the person. It's me, everybody, in case you're wondering. It's me.
Overall, loved the energy. I didn't mind the workout. I thought it was kind of cool. I thought it was quite similar to the year before, but I thought it was fun.
But I liked that it was similar because unlike you, a workout dense in burpees is my opportunity to thrive.
Yeah, the longer, the more grindy. Like this was a workout of
grit,
your will to keep moving.
Yeah. I think it's like, how comfortable are you having your heart rate extremely high kind of workout?
Yep.
Like your heart rate gets jacked up really quick when you're doing burpees, at least mine does.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And then it's just like how well can you tolerate that heart rate and continuing to keep moving.
Also how efficient you are on the burpee too. You're very efficient.
I think I like had it down to a science.
Yep. So tell them.
But yeah, I would say just like for like the listeners to give you the picture of my mindset going in, I was so anxious.
Yeah, you were.
I'm like, I'm glad it's out of the way because I know I'm going to be nervous the next workout, but I'm not going to be like that anxious. I was like having the nervous shits all day. I was just like a ball of nerves. And I was putting so much pressure on myself to have, like, I cared so much about my score. Yeah. Like for me, it was not about just enjoying and having fun. I felt like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to perform and get a high score because I felt like this is my comeback year. This is like, I'm proving to myself, I'm proving to the community, I'm proving to everybody that like, and mostly myself, that like having a baby like didn't crush my fitness. And
it
so
definitely did not.
I felt like I really wanted to like not only feel like I crushed it, but I actually wanted a score that was like, oh shit, like she back. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so I was very anxious the day of, and I was having a hard time even soaking up the Friday Night Lights because I was just thinking about like, I have to work out soon. Like this is going to, and I also think a lot of the anxiety was because I knew it was going to be very uncomfortable if I wanted to get a good score.
Yep.
And so also just like the anxiousness of like, this is going to hurt in the best way. And it did.
Oh yeah.
But I had so much fun. Brandon and I got to like be side by side in the workout, and we were pretty much like on pace with each other the entire way.
Yep.
And I only got you right at the end. So I ended up having, what was it? 208 reps.
Oh, what was it? Let me think.
No,
she knows it's 208 people.
No, it's because your 203 got me confused.
Yeah,
But
so she beat me by
5 reps.
So I did 21 out of the 24 burpees. You finished the 24 burpees and
Did 2 of the dumbbell.
Yeah. Got me. Darn it. And
And
you know what? Considering our redo performance of 24.1 when we were in
I should have
Australia,
got you by way more.
I'm pretty happy with that. 'Cause I think you beat me by
A
2
minute
minutes.
30.
Oh yeah, a minute
Yeah.
30. Yeah. Yeah. But again, yeah.
but
it was really cool to have that, like do
it
that
was
with you.
so fun to have you side by side, and I really thrive off of like the atmosphere and people like yelling at me. Like I like
We were next to them. We were next
I like
to
the
zone.
attention. I like being beside the fan zones. I definitely thrive in that sort of environment, and people were cheering and I couldn't wipe the smile off of my face. Like even Lucy came up to me and she was like, you were just smiling so much whenever you were doing the lunges. Cause when I was doing the lunges, I was like walking towards the fans kind of, and I was just grinning. And I was also, I don't know if you noticed, but like I looked over at you quite a few times to be like, cause I could feel that we were at the same spot.
Yeah, I was looking at you a lot as well.
And I did like,
On the hang clean and jerk of the 21s, I was looking at you because I was getting a little ahead of you on the dumbbell.
I could feel you kind of pulling away on the dumbbell, but in my head I was like, you can catch him on the burpees.
Yeah, that's why I kept looking at you. I was like, come on, like let's go, let's do this together, you know?
Yeah, it was really nice. And I did feel that you kind of like paused before you started going on your lunges, on those last set of lunges.
Yeah.
And in my head I was like, rookie mistake, Brandon.
Yeah, I really wanted to do a sprint finish with you. When she says pause, I literally hesitated for half a second.
Yeah, but because I know you so well,
Yeah.
like I was feeling that you were kind of like, oh, we're in this together.
Yeah.
And in my head I was like, coming for you.
Yeah, I needed that. I told myself,
I
was
loved
like,
it. It was so good.
Like, okay, like, what am I gonna get to the burpees before, and then I don't know. I just felt like it would have been way more fun if we had just started the burpees together, and we would have been able to feed each other, feed off each other's energies way more.
I went to a dark place on the last burpees.
Yeah, they were rough.
I was in this mindset of like, you're finishing these 24 burpees if it kills you.
Yeah.
And I like wanted it so bad. I also knew Melissa's score, which she like demolished us in this workout. She got to 220 reps, which is like exquisitely impressive. But I knew that she had finished the burpees and gotten like into the dumbbell. So I was like, you better get these friggin' burpees done, girl.
Yeah.
So I was just feeding into it, and like I got into such a zone on those burpees, and I was so proud of myself. I feel like I did those 24 burpees in like a minute 30.
Yeah, it was fast. We were gunning it at the end there.
Yeah. And then at the end I was like, just so freaking happy with my actual score and how I paced it and like my performance. And I feel like now going into next week, I'm like, okay, I'm really excited because I feel like I did the proving it to myself part a little bit. So now it's like, I'm going to have nerves for sure, but hopefully I'm going to be able to like take in the vibe and be a little bit more present, because I kind of got the first one out of the way, got the big nerves out of the way, because I'm always going to be anxious. I get anxious sometimes just in regular Metcons in the gym, like when the timer goes off, I'm like, ooh, it's time to do it. But I'll definitely be nervous this week. But I think for myself, I really do feel like I proved to myself that like you had a baby and you came back fitter than you were before you even had a baby.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool.
Like I don't know for sure, but I don't feel like 2022 me, like pre-pregnancy me, would have done that much different on that workout, if not worse.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's like a really
we'll
fun
see what happens
feeling
when we get to the other workouts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
When you get to the higher skill stuff.
Yeah, definitely is going to
The
be a
heavier
limiter.
weight.
Obviously, if there's heavy weights or high skills, that's where I get I mean, this was my week. The gritty, low skill.
Yeah, but it'd be cool to see like where you'll fit up against like
past Susie.
Yeah, because I don't think your skills are worse than before. I think your skills are better than before.
Yeah, so I don't disagree.
That's where I think we'll see like the biggest separation from where you were,
because my engine was always good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's hard to tell like, okay, how much better would Susie have done 2 years ago? Well, let's look at the engine workout. Okay, she finished around this percentile in that workout in the world versus she finished in this percentile for this workout. And then we could look at, okay, well, how did she do on the toes to bar workout or the handstand workout or the wall walk workout or the heavy barbell workout, you know?
That's
where we'll see.
So far, this is one of my highest rankings, I think.
No, you did really good in the shuttle run, burpee pull-up workout.
Oh, yeah. So that was like one of my best workouts ever, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, right now I'm like around the 85th percentile, so that's cool.
That's pretty cool. I'm probably around 75. I haven't even looked. But anyways, long banter topic.
Very long banter topic. Actually, this is the whole episode.
Thank you guys.
Click off now, friends.
Thank you guys for joining and sticking around here. But yeah, anyways, 25.2 is coming up this week. What do you hope to see?
Lots of toes to bar.
Lots of toes to bar. I'm going to say lots of double unders. Give me a lot of double unders. That's it. All right, moving on here. Topic of the day. I'm not even sure what we decided.
I really had to stop myself from saying something. I'm like, I'll let you say the topic before.
I'm not even sure what we've decided as the title for this.
But yeah, that usually happens in post.
But if it is the title that I think, I just want to state that we're not making any sort of...
It was clickbaity, okay? Welcome to the pod.
To anyone. This is me speaking about myself, and I'm allowed to put myself down and use whatever words I want to use to myself. But yeah, I was a fat kid.
That's why he has such a good personality, guys.
I was a chubby kid, and we're going to talk about that in this episode. We're going to talk about
what it was like growing up as
a kid. Where it started, how it started, and how I changed that. Because oftentimes, I guess, I don't know if we've even really spoken about this in the episode, maybe in the one with Justin a while back, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but your boy was a thick boy. I was
round.
I was voluptuous.
You had layers.
multiple layers on me as a kid growing up.
I'm fat.
So, yes. Okay, let's pile it on. Let's keep going.
You know what was piling on? Your plate.
Definitely my plate.
Okay, guys, we're just making light of a serious topic.
Yes, absolutely.
Because this is a podcast and you're supposed to be entertained.
We're not talking about you. Or anyone. We're talking about me. But hopefully, you guys, this will also provide some value. Obviously some entertainment, but also some value. And maybe there's a lot of parents out there that are, trying to figure out their way with their children. I know a lot of adults at CrossFit Max always want their kids to be doing CrossFit, or they want their kids to be doing physical activity. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of normal if you're into it. And I really hope that Thomas, our child, also does this when he grows up. But I'll give you guys a little bit of insight on what my childhood was like. And yeah, and hopefully you guys will get some value and you'll hopefully be able to take some stuff away. So yeah, growing up as a young child, as a young kid, I was actually pretty lean going up until I was about 7 or 8 years old. So I was relatively petite, I guess an average size kid. And when I was around 8 years old, then that kind of changed for me. And I don't really know what started it, but it just got to a point where I got really overweight at a really, really quick age. And I kind of stayed at an overweight body for several years. And I think that kind of just, I really don't want to put blame on anyone, because I think my parents did
the best they could.
the best that they could with the knowledge they had
I was gonna
in the
say.
era that it was growing up in actually the 90s. Which for some people that might be like, well, that
Last
wasn't that long
century.
ago. But for others that might be like, holy shit, this kid was born in the 90s. But yeah, so I was born in 93. So around 2000, 2001 is when I started getting really obese. And that was because there was no limits to what I could eat as a child. And I
also,
ate,
when you're a kid, you're not the one who controls what's on your plate.
mm-hmm.
You don't
It's gotta
control
be-
what's in your cupboards. You don't control what ends up on your plate.
Yeah. So growing up, I wasn't really into sports. I loved gym class. Like I really loved going to gym class.
Like even when you were chunky?
Even in elementary school, my favorite class was gym class. And actually in elementary
Still
school, in elementary school, I wanted to become a gym teacher. That's how much I actually love gym
Dreams
class.
do come true, guys.
Yeah. So, but the way the school system is, the way I was at home, the way I was raised, the inactivity as a kid. So anyway, so in elementary school, I don't know how many times you have gym class per week, but
Like not a lot. When we
Not
were
a
kids,
lot,
like
yeah.
twice.
yeah,
I think it's more now.
it used to be, I think, twice per week,
Yeah.
and they were only for an hour, if I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
mistaken.
yeah.
You would only
Yeah,
go
yeah.
for like an hour.
I think it's more now. Like I think
Yeah.
that these things are starting to become more like the kids do more activity now than they did. But when we were kids, for sure, like 2 hours max a week.
Yeah. So I was never put into sports as a young child. I was never put into sports. The only time I ever did physical activity was either at lunchtime with my friends when we
Right.
would try to do something sport related, whether that was playing football in the yard, whether that was throwing, a tennis ball.
Oh, handball. Good game.
Handball. I always enjoyed playing like sport games that got you to think and also
Active
get you
games,
to,
yeah.
to get you to like move. I actually really enjoyed that, but I never actually played a sport. At the age of like 9 or 10, I put on a decent amount of weight, and I think that was just because my family would pretty much like I would get decent meals. Like let's
Right.
just say like I guess our best meal was supper at night. Actually supper time, it was a pretty solid meal. We would have a protein source, a vegetable, and some sort of carbohydrate. So it would be like a chicken breast, some boiled potatoes, and some like string beans or something,
Okay.
That was like a typical supper. But all the rest after that was literally just awful
Garbage,
food, like
yeah.
Pop-Tarts in the morning, croissants, toast and peanut butter, toast and cinnamon. Actually, I used to have like cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah.
I used
Oh my God.
to literally
eat that
have
a lot.
boxes of cereal, and I would also add sugar on top of the cereal, like literally just like raw sugar dumped on top. I used to get my grandma did this for me when I was younger, but like a bowl of cereal with Rice Krispies, and then I would literally put fruit in it. Woohoo, healthy fruit, but it's also adding a shit ton of carbs. And then literally taking the sugar that, my grandparents or my mom would use for their teas or their coffees, and literally just dump sugar onto the cereal.
But like I have memories of putting sugar on cereal as well as a kid, but like in secret behind my parents' back because they would have literally killed me.
Oh man, yeah. I would just dump
Like
it
my
on
sister
there.
and I would like sneak the sugar.
Oh yeah.
But like,
Do you ever get like
if my
to the
mom
bowl?
knew, she would have been like, put that shit away, girl.
Like, do you ever get to the bottom of the bowl and like you finish all the actual Rice Krispies or the cereal,
the
and then there's
sugar
just
milk.
sugar. They're like literally sugar like I'm talking tablespoons of sugar.
That's crazy.
Like I would just eat that up,
I
and then
feel
sometimes put more sugar
that
in there.
doesn't
This
happen
this
now,
way I could
right?
just get. Oh God, I hope not. I don't know, but I really
Is that
hope
like
not.
every kid goes through that phase, or is it like we've learned to like put the table sugar away?
Yeah, and even then I also used to have a mixer, so we would take a whole bunch of sugar.
Did your
and-
mom know about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't
We
know. As a child of a family where you had to hide your junk food,
No,
I don't
it was
know.
not in my family, no. And so we would have like a jar of mostly sugar, and then I would take cinnamon, like ground cinnamon, and mix it into the jar of sugar. And then that would be like, in the morning, I would make 4 pieces of white toast, put butter on top of it, and then literally dump sugar and cinnamon on top of my toast. And that would be the way that I would start my day. And then for like lunches, it was those pizza pockets and those pre-made, what do you call it? Those like chicken nugget pre-made meals, you know. It would be...
Oh my God, what are they called? Lunchables.
Lunchables, yeah. But like not the Lunchables that, you know, sometimes some Lunchables would have like, this section is this, and then this section you have a little bit of fruit or vegetables.
Just like the homemade pizzas.
Mine was like the homemade, like literally deep fried chicken nuggets with French fries, and then I would put ketchup with it, you know. So it was just piling deep fried stuff,
like ultra processed packaged
just
stuff,
ultra Dunkaroos.
Oh my God,
fruit rolls. What are those? Fruit roll ups.
Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. So
oh my God, if you're hungry and you're listening to this, I'm so sorry.
I was the kid that everyone saw the lunchbox and wanted to trade with me because I had the really
my mom gave me like carrot
stuff.
sticks and like a turkey sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes I would get a sandwich too, but it would be just,
or like if I was lucky, raisins.
yeah. But yeah, so that was a big part of my diet, was just eating ultra processed foods. And then at night when I was hungry, we would have a chocolate bar. We'd literally have a chocolate bar every single night.
Like bonkers.
Or like Oreo cookies, Fudgio cookies. Like we would always have a dessert after supper that was heavily sugar based as well, you know. So you pair up this kid who is loaded up on sugar to start the day, who goes to school, and the schooling system doesn't allow for kids to move that much because you sit in a classroom for 2 hours, then you have a 15-minute break, and then you sit in your classroom for another 2 hours, then you have an hour break, maybe 45 minutes
for lunch,
and then you have like a 3-hour period where you're sitting down again at a desk, you know. Like it is not optimal for any sort of actual movement involved in any kid's life. And then you pair that with, I was a nerdy kid. I still feel like I am a little bit nerdy as well, you know. Like I played video games. I loved playing computer games and GameCube and Nintendo and PlayStation. Like I love doing all that stuff. So I love watching movies. I love watching TV. So I was a kid that loved to be like very sedentary and sit down quite a bit and not move.
Right.
And then it got to a point where I was pretty darn heavy. I was, I think, 150 pounds, 160 pounds kid. When I was like...
Before you grew.
Yeah, before I even grew. When I was like 10 years old, 11 years old. And I think I was less than 5 feet tall. So I was a big kid for someone who is 5 feet tall.
Yeah, like I've seen pictures of you as a kid, and it's like you can't even recognize that it's you because your face is so round and like you just have so much chonk on you.
And you know, I never thought that I was a fat kid. I never thought that I was like overweight in those,
like when you were living
in those moments when I was living it. And I remember like thinking back on it, I don't remember thinking that, but then I remember when I started hitting like puberty around, I don't know, 12 maybe. You
started to be more mindful about
I started being more mindful. Like I didn't want to take my shirt off when I was at the pool. You know, I'd go to the pool and be like, no, like I want to keep my shirt on. I would swim with a t-shirt on, you know, because I felt just self-conscious of that.
I hate that.
And
because you were still cute.
Yeah. And I remember seeing like a photo on, I believe it was my 12th birthday at my family's place where, you know, my grandfather had a in-ground pool. So we used to love going there during the summer. And I remember not having my shirt on and seeing a photo of my birthday with people like next to me and just having like sitting down and just having rolls.
Yeah. And you like
on
were
my side.
uncomfortable about the picture.
And I remember seeing the photo, and I remember that moment. I remember like it was yesterday. It was kind of this realization of like, what, like this is not I just didn't like the look of that.
The look of it. That's
Yeah.
interesting that you can like even now, like 20 years later, think back to a moment where you realize like, oh, I don't like the way that I look in that photo or whatever.
Yeah, when I saw that photo, it actually like it's in my like brain,
it's etched in.
you know, like it's deep in there. And
Yeah.
So that went on until I was about, so from the age of 8 to about 12, I just piled on weight. And
do you think, like, just to like give people the picture here, like you're gaining a lot of weight. You have a little brother. Was he gaining a lot of weight too?
He was starting to, yeah. My brother was 5 years younger than me, so he was still quite young.
Yeah, it's true. It's like maybe less impact at that age. And then, like, you were living with your mom. Was your mom overweight?
Yeah,
or?
My mom was not overweight, but my mom had a bunch of
Bad habits.
Well, bad habits, but health issues as well.
Okay.
So my mom didn't eat well. I don't know how much I want to discuss my family in this, but yeah, my mom.
But I just want to give people like a picture, like you weren't getting. It wasn't like you were the only one in your family gaining weight.
Yeah, so
it was like a household.
My mom was super
struggle.
Unhealthy, and looking back, it's probably because a big part of that is just diet and lifestyle, and she was a heavy smoker, but she didn't eat a lot. So she actually didn't gain a lot of weight. Like what she would eat, she would go like all day without eating, and then just
have
eat
like a chocolate or something.
Eat like a few chocolate bars at night.
Okay.
You know? So again,
calorically, she wasn't in a surplus.
Exactly.
But quality-wise.
Quality awful. Yeah.
Got it.
But
sorry.
Yeah, so
I don't want to. I won't pry.
No, yeah,
I'm just trying to give people a visual since we are talking about just you specifically. But I feel if you give people a visual, they'll pull from their experiences too.
Yeah, and I don't want this to sound like I had bad parents or anything.
Oh my God, not at all.
But
you were so loved.
Yeah, exactly. Overly loved.
I was gonna say this.
I needed a lot of love.
I actually feel like that this like you gaining weight was the product of like so much love because your mom just wanted you to have all the things that you loved, and you loved chocolate, you loved Oreos, you loved whatever.
Yeah, I loved all the sweets. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, my dad, so my parents were separated, and I would go see my dad every second weekend. And I guess he just wants to spoil his son. So he takes us out to restaurants and takes us out to the movie theater. So we're going to get,
more of like
M&Ms
a special occasion.
and popcorn and soft drinks. And, we're going to McDonald's. So it was very like a lot of eating out. And I loved all those moments.
Oh my God, so many memories.
As kids, I have great memories of going to the buffet and going to the Chinese buffet and just getting all those things, anyway, so those were all great memories and stuff. But in hindsight,
you can still make great memories without
exactly
contributing to your child's
poor
obesity.
Health. Yeah, exactly. Yes. So that's kind of the nutrition style for one of like the main reasons why I just put on excessive amount of weight. It was having no off switch, eating extremely processed food, like the ultra processed stuff, and just a lack of knowledge from my parents on good eating behaviors for themselves and also for their children. And then on the flip side, in activity, like I loved gym, but I was never actually put into a sport. The only activity I got was when I was in gym class, and I loved it. But then around the age of 8, I believe, my mother married for the first time, but married another man from the U.S., and he got me into football. That's why I'm a big New England Patriots fan. He was a Patriots fan his whole life. So I got into watching football with him and then throwing the football with him and then shooting the basketball around and playing soccer. So I remember when I was 10 years old, I joined a soccer team first. So U10 soccer. And man, you give me anything to this day that requires my hands to move, like a basketball,
Your hand-eye
volleyball,
coordination,
a
amazing.
racket, hand-eye coordination, great. You do anything foot-eye coordinated, I am so bad. So I was put into soccer.
My dad is very disappointed about that.
I was put into soccer, and I remember, well, number one, I was super overweight and unathletic.
Yeah.
So
and soccer requires a lot of running.
But at that age also, it's a small field.
Much. Yeah,
you know?
they cut the field, right?
So yeah, exactly. It's not a full length field.
Or else they would never see any action.
Exactly,
You just see these freaking kids just barely get to the other side.
I remember just not really understanding team sports at that time. I was also very young. I was 10, overweight, out of shape. Kids are running
and
faster
it's like your
than
first
me.
Exposure to it.
First exposure to that. Yeah, I remember like enjoying the process of like getting ready for a game and everything, but I remember not liking
You were
playing.
like, is there ice cream at the end of this?
Yeah, exactly. For real. Like, where are the oranges? Give me those freaking orange peels, you know?
Yeah.
So I was so bad. I played goalie and defense. And those are the two positions you probably run the least amount, I would assume. And I remember being so bad that when I was goalie, I would purposely kick the ball to the other team so that they would...
So you could get some action?
So they could literally kick on me and I would try to save it, you know? That's how bad I was. And that's how, you know, uncoordinated I was, and I didn't really understand sport at that age. I played for 1 more year after that, and the first year I played, we were actually like last place, as you can imagine. You got this shit goalie over here.
The goalie was passing it to the other team.
Yeah, and could barely play defense. Anyways, we ended up making it to the to the finals and finishing second place that year. We were worst team in the league, and then we got to playoffs, and something clicked for the team, and we ended up doing really well.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, like maybe I do like soccer. Played 1 more year. I can officially say I hated soccer.
Never played soccer again.
So never after that. Yeah, I played 1 more year. I was like, nah, this is not for me. Did play football for a very fast second year, and I'll tell you a fun. Fat Brandon story here. When I was, I think, 12 years old, I think it was grade 6, I did a summer camp for football.
Oh, you really dove in head first.
This was, yeah. Well, no, because diving in would be starting a team and starting a season. I was like, let me do the summer camp first to see if I actually like this. So my stepdad was, so proud. My dad was there. My whole family came for me to come do this like summer camp thing. And,
I'm sorry. It's funny because we're like grown ass adults now.
Yeah.
But like, oh my God.
I can't wait I really hope Thomas, I keep saying I can't wait, but I'm hoping he gets into this. But
hopefully he's like a bit more active, like leading up to it. So it's like less embarrassing for him.
Yeah. Well, the next part's quite embarrassing. I told you this story many times, but I'm not sure the listeners have heard this. But yeah, so we got pads, helmets and everything. And before even showing up, and then we, 2 weeks later we show up. And it's like full on contact. And before we even get there, we're like, all right, helmets on. They have the coaches pull us in around the middle of the field and they do like a speech, whatever. And then they're like, all right, like to start the day, we're going to run around the football field. And I was like, all right. So people were running. Kids were running around the football field. And I started running. And then I realized my lungs were collapsing and my legs were breaking apart. And I got halfway across and I literally started crying. Like, I'm not kidding, when tears were running down my face. And I got to my parents. I don't even think we ran the full football field. And for those of you guys who don't know, a football field is, well, there's 100 yards of the actual field and there's 10 yards in the end zone of each, so it's like 120 yards. So I probably ran maybe around like 60 yards and went to my family halfway across the field and was crying and sobbing. And it's so funny, my family always laughs at me, but I went to them and I was like, Dad, my heart stopped. And they like always laugh at that like one moment, because I truly thought that my heart had stopped beating.
Like gave up on you.
Yeah.
Because you had just like never.
I had never done that sort of running before. Yeah. And I did, I think maybe 2 more sessions of the camp, maybe 3 more max. And I just called it quits. And I was like, this is not for me. And it's unfortunate because I have really good hand-eye coordination, and catching a football I was really good at, and throwing a football I was really good at for that age.
You just didn't have any conditioning at all.
Just had no conditioning. I was like, no way I want to do this. And like tackling people, I was like, God, like these guys are running pass me. I can't even like block them. So I quit, and I'd also been playing basketball. My stepdad was really into basketball, and that was the sport that kind of clicked for me. I joined a league, so I didn't do a summer camp. Joined a league with a good buddy of mine.
After you quitting the last one, your mom was probably like, "That's it for the summer camp, son."
Yeah. So I joined a basketball league with my good buddy Luke. He was, he's my best friend since I was 5 years old.
Still is.
Yeah, and I joined a league with him. We're supposed to be on the same team, so we didn't get on the same team. So I got like super nervous.
Aww.
And I played that year, and I was awful. I was so bad. Again, like I was 12 years old at that point that I joined it, and we were the worst team in the league. As soon as someone would pass the ball, I would like have to freeze. I'd have to pass it away. Like I remember my family telling me,
potato.
"Hey, you can dribble the basketball. Like you can bounce the basketball." But I would get the ball, someone passed to me, and I'd either shoot it or just like throw it away to someone else.
Panic.
And yeah, it was complete panic. But I actually remember really enjoying going and playing, like going like on Saturday mornings, going to the gym that we played at. The energy, the crowd, we talked about in the open. Like I really enjoyed that, and I was like, "This is so cool!" Like, look,
so we found an activity you like.
Yeah,
doing.
like my grandfather's watching me now. My dad's watching me. My parents are watching me. Like, and
there's no helmets.
Yeah, and then something kind of important in life happened after that. So after my first year of basketball, I pretty much hit puberty.
I was gonna say puberty.
Yeah, exactly. And then I
discovered women.
I discovered women. Yeah, and thought to myself, "Wow, like you
gotta get hot for my future wife."
Exactly. And I actually started doing a ton of basketball. I got a basketball net in front of my house, and I would play for hours every single night. Just Walkman in my big baggy shorts with a jersey on.
You're
and I would just shoot, like big headphones on, and I would just shoot for 2 hours every single night. Or during the summertime, I would bike to the park with my friends, and we would literally hoop for 3-4 hours at a time.
And so now obviously you're hitting puberty, so you're growing. And you're also playing a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Were you losing weight?
Yeah. I also
had your diet changed? No problem.
Diet not really changed. I never really thought that diet was the thing at that age. I thought it was just
comes later, right?
I thought it was just activity.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I never got like lean, but I started growing.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing what women were, and started being like more body image conscious, I guess.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And playing a lot of sports and spending a lot of time.
Is that when you also started straightening your hair, just like for the people of the podcast to know?
No, that was later on. Yeah.
Okay, that comes later. Yeah. Sorry.
So we'll talk about that after, I guess. Your boy had an emo phase. But yeah, so at the age of 15, 16, I started taking basketball a lot more serious.
Yeah.
And I found a really extreme competitive edge in myself. I hated losing.
Still do.
Still do.
How'd that open workout go for you on Friday?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Much better at it now. But it would ruin my day if we lost a basketball game. If I lost a basketball game, the rest of my Saturday, or eventually turned into Sundays, was ruined. And also on my performance as well. Like if I did not perform well, it was like, hey, you're getting the basketball and you're going outside to shoot some more. Like that was unacceptable, right?
You've always had that like maybe it was unhealthy to a certain degree then, but like you've always had that like self-discipline to get better at stuff. Like that's such a nice quality that you have in yourself that was showing up even when you were doing basketball. Not a lot of people are like, oh, my performance was bad, so like I'm gonna go practice for hours. A lot of people are like, oh, my performance is bad, I'm gonna like wallow in self-pity and like that's gonna be my day. No,
I was definitely like,
you have a lot of discipline to do that.
Thanks, love. I was pissed off, and I was like, we can't lose again like this. I hate that player on that team, and I want to jump higher than that guy. And I remember at that age, I used to play with the older basketball kids at the high school as well.
Mm-hmm.
So at that age, I developed like a real passion for basketball. And I was like 13, 14 years old when I started really liking it. And I would wake up by myself at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would walk to school to get there for like 7:30, 7:45. So I could play an hour of open gym basketball before school started. Yeah,
because school started at like 8:30 or 9.
And I remember being in grade 8 playing with kids who were grade 10, grade 11, 3, 4 years older than me, and they would whoop my ass, but it was just such a good learning experience. And I would watch how they dribbled the ball and how they would pass the ball and how they would like play defense and how they would communicate.
I mean, this whole situation just goes to show like how important it is for like parents to help their children like find an activity that they love. Because if you find something that your child loves, or if you are a person looking for a hobby, like keep searching for that thing that like lights you up, that you're down to wake up early for, that you're motivated to like get your ass to the gym. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when you find something that you love, when you inspire someone into a sport that they like doing, you know, for lots of kids it's very different things, but for you basketball was the thing for you. Like your whole philosophy on movement, and your like, you know, your mom wasn't having to drag you out of bed anymore in the morning. You know?
I was like putting my
you
alarm
were very
on. I was getting my
self-motivated.
breakfast ready, and I was walking down to school so I can get there early, you know?
Yeah. And like, it just goes to show that, you know, you were the same kid who 3 years prior, who had never played basketball before, was probably not waking up early, who was like moping to school or whatever. And so it just shows that like, okay, soccer wasn't the thing. Football camp, not the thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, like I feel like, you know, if you're a parent, at least, you know, if you're a kid, you're like, oh, he doesn't like sports. Like, try something else. Try something new. Maybe try a sport that you don't even know about. Maybe your kid wants to play pickleball, you know, like whatever it is. Like
pickleball,
I feel like that's the sport of the moment. But, you know, it's just like keep throwing your kid into different activities so that they have an opportunity to find something that they're passionate about, because kids who are passionate about something are going to want to do it.
Yeah.
And finding a physical activity that your kids like doing is like imperative for their health.
Yeah.
It just gets that habit going.
And I'm sure there was also moments in basketball where, you know, you have a game at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and you're like, no, Mom, I don't want to like sit there. Like, no, like, come on, like, let's go. You've committed to this. Like, let's do it.
That's also a massive, like, I feel like that's something that's so important about, like, you know, putting kids in sports is not just about getting them physical and like teaching them values and stuff, but it's also like teaching them that commitment. You know, like I used to figure skate, and that was a lot of the thing. You know, sometimes it would be like early morning practices before going to school, and it'd be like, I really don't want to do it. And my mom's like, you made this commitment. Yeah. Like,
this
isn't an option. Yeah. Also, I'm paying for it, so get your ass to the rink.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I found, and you know what, even if I go back a little bit, I remember my family trying to push me in the direction of exercise, like working out, you know, not sport, but working out, and getting me a treadmill and be like, hey, we have to do this treadmill. We have to use these dumbbells and do this. And I was so
unmotivated,
not down to do that. So like going to a gym and exercising for kids is not always the thing to do. And for me, sport was the thing that I fell in love with. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Gamified it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like us versus them. There's 5 of us and there's 5 of them.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, we are going to beat you, you know? And if we lose, I'm going to be pissed.
And then we're definitely not going to lose again next week. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so, and then around the age of, go.
That's just like interesting that you just said that, like, your parents were trying to, so it's like your parents knew you guys were overweight and wanted you to exercise.
Yeah. At one point it got to a point where my family was like, hey, maybe we should like exercise and do some treadmill stuff and some dumbbell stuff. And I just wasn't into it at all.
Yeah.
And it felt like, you know,
it just shows like your parents wanted the right thing for you. It's just that they were not armed with the right tools.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now we're making a podcast about this to arm people with the tools.
Yeah, exactly. So fell in love with basketball, got pretty into it at the age of 15, that's
You
where
got your first girlfriend.
No, not yet. No, that's where I really started exercising and playing sport.
Okay.
I did a summer, I think it was a 16 or even a 20-week vertical jump program where I
Wow.
like followed a regimen where it was 3 to 4 days per week, and you had to like actually follow these exercises.
That's so cool. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, and I got really good at jumping high. And I lost weight, so it made it even easier.
Right. Less weight
And
to jump with.
yeah, and it just boosted. There were so many. I don't know what it was about that program, but when you're into basketball and you play with older kids and you see them leap up off the ground towards that rim, you're like, how did this guy just jump that high in the air? Like,
Yeah.
what is he wearing? Are those his shoes? Does he have springs in his shoes? You're like, no, this guy's like physical capability of jumping that high.
Yeah.
How do I do that? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it got into me, but I like committed, like there was no tomorrow to that jumping program. And I didn't miss a single day of that program. And it was like a legit commitment. There was times on the weekend that I did it like in my father's garage, his like dirty, gross garage. There was days where I was tired from basketball and I came in and I still did it after and stuff.
It was
in
like
the
an
basement.
online program that you followed?
It was
or?
like I don't even think there was PDFs at the time, but it was a
like a
document online and I
Thought you're
printed.
off your floppy disk.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It was literally a website and I clicked print the website and the website printed for me with the vertical program in it. And I got really good at jumping, and I lost a decent amount of weight because I exercised a lot more and I had a training regimen towards it, and I played basketball, and I also grew. So I started high school in 7th grade at 5 feet tall, almost exactly, if not maybe an inch shorter. And then I finished high school at 16 years old being the exact same body weight, so 150 pounds that I started high school with, but I finished it at 6 feet tall. However, when I tell this to people, the first thing they say is, "Oh, well, you just grew," you know. But that's not really what happened.
No, your body
I was
composition
growing
changed.
and I was still getting fatter. And what happened is then I started training and exercising a lot. And when I was when I was 16 years old, that's when I started to change my nutrition around. I started realizing like, hey, maybe I probably shouldn't be eating all this candy and all these chocolates.
Right.
I shouldn't be eating every time before I go to bed. So I started like just searching on the web. I don't even know.
You're so good at this. Like,
I don't even know if Google was a thing back then.
Like yes, Google was definitely a thing when we were in fucking high school, Brandon.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure if it was like, did you Google search things or did you just search on the web? Like, what was your search engine?
No, you definitely Google searched.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was a Google search. I think it was just a web search at the time.
No, it was a Google.
Was
but
it?
you would like go to Google and then
Yeah.
search from Google. Now you just
Gotcha.
write in Google Chrome's thing at the top.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
For sure you went to
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah. Probably Google. You're right. Yeah.
Or Yahoo.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it might have even been Yahoo.
You're a loser. Okay, but one thing that like I feel like this is just so characteristic of you, and you're a little bit of a unicorn. I feel like you're like different than most people, which is why you're so wildly successful at whatever you apply yourself to, is because you're the kind of person who gets curious and asks questions, and like you were put on this earth to like seek information out and figure shit out. Like for you have a problem, you want to solve it. Like it's not all people who think like that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, let me learn about nutrition. As a first child, you have no one to ask other than your parents, but clearly the parents were feeding you and they needed the nutrition search as well. You know what I mean?
And there was also
But-
a lot of conflict at that time in my life as well, which was unfortunate. Like when I started to want to eat eggs, you know, I would see like bodybuilders, bodybuilding.com at the time was the thing to search for exercise. And there would be blogs and articles and stuff that people would just write about this stuff. And it would be eat eggs every single morning, which is ironic because I literally eat eggs every day now. But it was such like a taboo thing back then. It was like, oh, the egg yolks are high
Full
in
of
cholesterol
cholesterol,
and like so bad for you. You can't be eating all those eggs. And it was like eating chicken, broccoli, and rice. And consuming whey protein powder, and it was like, really, like you really want to get a tub of whey protein powder? Like it was like as if I was doing
Like
the bad thing at the time versus like
the chocolate bars you were having every
chocolate
night.
bars that I was consuming every night.
Yeah,
know?
like you were
Eating
met with a
the
lot of
frozen-
resistance.
Like instead of eating like frozen pizza for supper, I was like, no, like I actually want to eat meat and some rice and some broccoli. And it was like, it got to a point where when I was 16, I literally started, not fully, but I started doing most of my own grocery shopping. We had our fridge in our own garage, and I literally started getting cottage cheese, bunch of like raw vegetables, some fruit.
You were on cottage cheese before TikTok?
What's that?
You ate cottage cheese before TikTok?
Why is that a TikTok thing right now?
I feel like every fucking recipe on TikTok is cottage
yeah,
cheese. I literally made mac and cheese for my friend who just had a baby today with like cottage cheese to make it like high in protein.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a good food. Like, it's high in protein. You can get it in low in fat if you want. It's a really good source for you. And I remember just
Tommy loves it.
Thomas loves it. But I remember getting tubs of like there was a particular cottage cheese that I like, and I remember getting that one, and then getting the pre-made like IGA cut up vegetables, like the raw vegetables, and I would take the sauce and just in the middle and just throw it away, and I would just eat the raw vegetables. I didn't really know much. Like, and I had the steak, and I remember there being like a huge amount of conflict. Well, like, all right, well, you just buy your own stuff and cook your own stuff, and I was like 16 at the time. I was like, fine, I'll do that. Like, that's what I want.
You were met with resistance because your mom felt like she wasn't ready to make a lifestyle change? Or do you think it was because she thought like you were insulting her choices? Or like, why do you think that is? Because it happens a lot in people's households.
Yeah.
And I think this situation that you're talking about actually happens to a lot of people. They start to exercise, and so that's the thing that changes. And then they get addicted to the exercise. And then after the exercise, they're like, okay, hang on. Let me like think about other ways I can be healthier. And quickly nutrition comes in contact. But let's say yours was a unique situation because you were a 16-year-old child living in your house with your mom. Yeah. But I feel like, let's just say your husband and wifey starts getting fit, whatever, blah, 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 wants to make nutrition choices, and then is probably met with a lot of resistance at the beginning. Like, hey, I want to like have this salad instead. And it's like there's a lot of pushback. I think people get like weird about other people wanting to change the way they eat, especially people that are living under the same roof. And I'm just trying to understand, like, why is that? What do you think?
I don't think it's the norm yet. Health is not the norm, which is so weird to think and to say out loud.
Yeah, it's hard for us to know too, because it's our norm.
Yeah. But I'm talking from a social level,
100%.
like from society right now.
It's still not the norm.
Still like taboo.
Yeah.
To be healthy.
I know.
To eat healthy, to live active lifestyle. It's not the normal. So
people are just uncomfortable because they're not used to it. Is that what you're saying?
A little bit uncomfortable, a little like lack of understanding and knowledge, because people still associate exercise with just the physical element of lifting a dumbbell or lifting a barbell.
Right.
When there's so much more that goes on in health than the physical element. There's the emotional, there's the mental, and those things are very different because people sometimes think mental and emotional are the same, but they're two completely different elements, right? Like
100%.
What makes you feel happy is different of like how well your brain is going to be focusing at work or 100%. In school or being able to problem solve, right? To be able to change certain aspects of your life and to be able to reflect upon yourself. Those things are really hard to do, but they fall into the bucket of health. And if you lift dumbbells and you lift barbells and you get on an echo bike and get your heart rate at 170 beats per minute, you are going to feel like you can make better mental decisions in life. And you're also going to feel happier emotions. You're also going to, have the happy hormones triggered in your body.
Right.
Depression is going to be far lower risk, right? So there's so many elements to, like, it's not just I want to get a six pack or I want to lose fat or I want to have big biceps.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just not the norm right now. So people still think, oh, my partner wants to eat a salad because he's trying to, I don't know,
look a certain
way. It's like, no, like my husband is trying to eat a salad because he wants to feel good in his body. He wants to feel happier. He wants to be able to focus more at work. He wants to be able to manage his stress better. He wants to be able to sleep better at night.
Yeah.
And that's where people don't understand that. And unfortunately, like that's the biggest disconnect right now with people associating CrossFit or physical activity with health, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Hopefully that made sense.
No, it did make sense. I feel like you hit on some good points there. And like, I'm just asking these questions because I feel like these are the things that come up, but like, I kind of know the answer. I'm just asking the question to like steer the conversation a little bit. But I also think that it's so common to be like met with resistance with any sort of change, you know, when people,
change is also hard too.
When people change, who are living under the same roof as you, and you're used to things being a certain way, and then people change, it, whether you like it or not, it forces you to reflect on your own choices. Yeah. And I think that is part of the resistance is sometimes, let's say in a scenario, let's just say you weren't healthy and I wanted to start being healthy and I'm making changes, then maybe you start reflecting on your choices because I'm talking about it and I'm like, look at all these cool things I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And if you're not quite ready to make that change yet, that's where the resistance comes from. Because you're like, I like the status quo. Status quo is my comfort zone.
Yeah. That's about, like you said, also, like it is change. So if wifey makes a decision to change big elements of her life, like nutrition and going to exercise instead of coming home and hanging out with your partner right after you finish work, you know, instead of like watching Netflix at night, you've chosen to go to the gym. Like the wifey, partner one, let's just say, wifey has maybe been thinking about this for several months. So after 6 months of thinking about this, she's pulled the trigger. She's made that decision for herself. But partner two, the hubby over here, this is just like new, and he hasn't decided that he wants to make this change yet. So sometimes it just takes time for that other partner to get to that level.
100%.
Some people need a little bit more convincing and a little bit more push. Other people need less of a push and in fact don't like having a push and just need to make that decision for themselves.
Yeah, everybody approaches change completely differently. And I think that's just the beauty of human beings. We're all different and unique. But it is, I think, a very common experience, what you're spelling out. Yeah. Common experience is that you start with the physical activity, then you switch to the nutrition. And usually when you start with the physical activity, it doesn't necessarily impact the people around you as much. But when you want to change what you're putting in your grocery bill and in your fridge and in your family's mouths, especially if you have children, then now your change is positively impacting those around you. But if they're not ready for it, you're going to be met with resistance.
For sure, yeah. I was met with a lot of resistance because my family isn't healthy. Yeah. So I started making those changes, and then there was comments like, "Oh, why don't you want to eat dessert with us?" And it was like, "Well, I don't really want to eat dessert, you know." Yeah. I'm trying to stop doing that stuff, you know. And
without
it was like,
insulting
"Oh, Brandon's too good for like dessert," you know, or "Oh, you know, that's not healthy for you," you know, like those types of comments were I mean, we still get comments at Thanksgiving we still do, and Christmas and whatever. It's just that we got thick skin now. Yeah. Before it was, now it's kind of like this joke, you know, but before it was like some serious stuff, and it was like my family wasn't ready for that type of change. Yeah. And you know, I did that. I started making those changes. I went to CEGEP. I moved out on my own, and that was a whole other experience of like, you know, I started eating again, kind of falling back into my way. So yeah, eventually I got a girlfriend and then I went into CEGEP. I moved out on my own quite early. So I was 18 years old when I moved out.
Yeah, that's very
young. I was cooking all my food. So it was like definitely eating more frozen pizzas and kind of going back into the processed food. And I started gaining a little bit of weight. Also, when you're 18, you start in Quebec here,
Drinking.
you start drinking alcohol.
Yeah, that'll do
like,
it.
Partying with my friends now that I'm 18 and going to bars and clubs and
The
drinking
Gen Zs
more.
don't party like the millennials did, though.
Yeah, that was just kind of what we did then. And then I had a little bit less activity for a period of time.
Well, yeah, because you had to work and go to school to sustain your life at 18 years old living by yourself.
So I technically was still full time, but I took a lower course load at school so I can work and also pay for my rent.
Yeah.
And then because I took a lighter course load, I extended my CEGEP from 2 years to 3 years. And then, I watched I watched the Olympics, and I saw that volleyball was there, and I played volleyball at the end of high school, and I turned out to be really freaking good, I guess, because of my vertical jump. And
Thank God to that program.
it really was like I played basketball for 11 years, but I really only played volleyball for 3 years, and I was pretty exceptional at volleyball. But I just love basketball so much. But yeah, so in CEGEP, third year, was watching the Olympics, saw the volleyball, and I was like, you know what, screw this, like. You need it's your last year of CEGEP, like go try out. You haven't touched a volleyball in 2 years, like go and try out. And I went to the tryout, made the team instantly, was a starter on the team for that year, which was really cool. Learned a lot about that. But yeah, during that process, I was also really like trying to do a bunch of learning on nutrition and still there's nothing really out there besides bodybuilding.com. And then when I finished volleyball and I finished CEGEP, there was no sport at all for me. Like,
right.
I was, I don't know how old, 20 at that age. Yeah. It was just over 19 years old, and I had no sport. And I found this guy on YouTube doing this thing called CrossFit. And
we all know how that story goes.
Game over. I started like literally running to the football field, doing a bunch of CrossFit stuff, and then eventually I joined a gym, and
the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah.
Fat Brandon, no more.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I've had periods of time over even the last 10 to 12, or maybe I guess 11, 12 years of doing CrossFit where I've put on a little bit more weight and then gained it,
Put on a little bit more weight and gained it.
Sorry, put on a little bit more weight and then lost it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure.
And where I've learned the most was when I went to go do my nutrition certificate a couple years ago. If ever you guys are interested in a course or learning about this, I would highly recommend the Precision Nutrition Level 1. It's an online course. It is to become a nutrition coach, like an online nutrition coach. But if
very informative.
If every elementary school or even a high school had a program like the Precision Nutrition course,
right,
I think
we would solve
from
a lot of
general population, we would solve so many health crises right now. Chronic disease would be at a all-time low. People would understand how to communicate health a lot better. It talks a lot about the growth mindset, like the buckets of health, rather than just thinking of the physical. And you learn so much basic stuff in that course that could be applied to younger kids, and they would change their entire life outcome after that. Mm-hmm. So anyways, this was a long episode, and
I'm having the scaries about editing it, but it's been a really nice chat.
I hope that you guys got to know me a little bit better about my career. Can
I say like my big takeaways?
Yeah. Well, first I just want to say that a lot of people look at me as this CrossFit coach who's been doing this for over a decade now. And they think, he was just like that his whole life, and that's not the situation. And if there was anyone that even just needed any sort of guidance or help, like, we are here for you. We don't, if there's
no
like, where do I start? Yeah. And it really does start from a no judgment zone. And I can relate to people who are dealing with all those issues, those feelings. Yeah. The what's the word I'm looking for? I'm lost in my words. It's late at night right now, but the cravings, that's what I want to say. The cravings to just open the pantry and get those Fudgios out. You know, like I've been there. I still fight those urges. It's an ongoing process, even over a decade in, even after getting my nutrition coaching certificate. It is always a work in progress. Like nutrition is not as black and white as people make it sound on the internet. It is very much an ongoing journey, and I'm continuously trying to progress my journey on the nutrition side of things, the lifestyle side of things, and also the physical activity side of things.
Love it. You're killing it. You're
Thanks,
an inspiration to us all, my love. No, but you are.
You want to say your
no,
big takeaways?
I just wanted to say, like, I feel like
recap. Here we go.
No, I'm not going to recap. The episode is too long to recap. I keep looking at the clock and I'm like, how?
New segment, Susie's recap.
I love a recap. I actually don't come up with any original content. All I do is let Brandon talk and then recap. That's why I get so anxious when you're not here.
Yeah.
But no, what I wanted to just say is I feel like
before you go into this, I just want to say the number one thing that, obviously this title was an aggressive clickbaity title, and I talked about myself being fat and everything, but you're going to do the big takeaways here, but the first thing I want to say before even the big takeaways is that it is really a non-judgmental zone. Like I don't look at people who are trying to lose weight and label someone as quote unquote fat. We're just being cheeky. Or overweight. My objective in life is to help people get out of situations that I was in at periods of my life, and to just try to help people understand and gain knowledge on health and how to progress themselves in a better direction.
Yeah.
Major takeaways. That's got to be number one, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. It just interrupted me so many times, but it's totally fine. I'm not mad. Like,
okay, but at first, I actually just want to say that I love you so much.
Yeah. Oh my God, guys.
Hi, honey.
Was that the first time Brandon ever says he loves me on the podcast? Because I could put together a string of clips over the last 2 years of me saying like, I love you. And Brandon saying, no, he goes, okay. So like I think 95% of the time that I tell him that I love him on the podcast, he follows it up with, okay, so.
Okay, so
he's like, all right, shut up.
Do your big takeaways.
Anyways, I don't really want to. I love you too. I don't want to go into depth or whatever, but I feel like something for me, like as somebody who's hearing all of this, maybe not for the first time, but like some of it for the first time, I think I now have a perspective as a parent when we talk about these things, and I think what I want for my kids, and I feel like the big takeaway from that is that it's so important to begin the education on nutrition as early as possible with kids. Mm-hmm. Brandon laughs at me, but I'm telling Tommy all the time when he's eating, I'm like, these berries are good for your brain. And I say all these I don't
laugh at that, silly.
You like laugh at me because you're like, he's a potato, but
no, anyway. I love it.
But it's good to like begin the education on nutrition early, because it really does influence their like lifelong nutrition choices.
Yeah.
I think it's also really important
just for them to know,
give your kids an opportunity to try lots of different activities until they find a physical activity that they like, because doing physical activity is so freaking important.
And to add on to that, I would say early on. I wish I got the opportunity at an early age rather than trying it at 10 years old.
Exactly. That's why Thomas is doing swim lessons at 8 months old.
Exactly.
No, but it's like early and lots of options so that you can find something that your kid is passionate about, because like in Brandon's story, I think it's the same for most people. Once you find something that you're passionate about, it's easy to be motivated, but then it trickles into your other stuff. Like, oh, I want to do this like jump program. Like I was a figure skater. I wanted to do off ice. I wanted to do other things that would improve my figure skating. It bleeds into everything that you do. It just starts with a passion. So helping kids find a passion. And then the other thing I feel like is just like being open-minded. Like, we're always learning. We're always trying to be better. And it's just like being open-minded. I think as people, we're resistant to change. But change can be a really good thing.
Yeah, true. And Yeah. To add on to that, what the information my parents got also from, whether that's the government, whether that's the medical professionals in the field, whether that's, research has gone, has really blown up over the last 2 decades, right?
100%.
What was the norm now might be different in a decade from now. We might find new research and we might find new things, having that mindset of like always growing and wanting to learn and gaining knowledge is super important. Back then it was don't eat high fat foods. High fat foods are bad for you.
Yeah.
Yolk is bad for you, and oils or
butter,
olive oil, and all this stuff is so bad for you. You have to eat low fat stuff, and then just loading the stuff up with sugar, you know, and things that are going to get you addictive to them, so like Susie said, being open to it and having that conversation.
I just think in general, like if you can be open-minded to change and not resistant to change in everything that you do in your life, it's going to serve you.
Yeah. Well said. That was a good recap.
I kept it short and sweet.
Susie's recap. New segment.
It's not a new segment. I've been doing it every episode since we started the podcast.
But now we're going to make it a segment.
Are you going to do that Rika every time? Speaking of segments, we got to do our favorite segment of the whole podcast.
I haven't done this in a long time because we were away and we didn't do one. And
I'm going to do it like on the quiet because I don't want to wake up the baby, but pew, 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 pew.
All right, you announce them. They deserve it.
You say it.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll say it. A member who has been at the gym since before Christmas, now 3 months.
I should know this.
You did the foundations?
Yeah.
When was it? You should know this exactly.
It was right after the breast cancer fundraiser, so it was in November.
It was November, yeah. Mm-hmm. So been at the gym for, I guess now he's on like month 5. Wow, time is flying. And he has committed fully into the program.
Dove head first.
Not just into the program, but has also been doing the Sunday run clubs during the winter time as well.
The cold days, nothing phases him.
This week he did 11K before doing the group class. He's been doing the group class and the Project Persist at CrossFit Max.
He's signed up for the Open this year.
And that client of the week is Saini.
Yay, go Saini.
Shout out to Saini for
Usually I'd be a little louder, but I can't.
I mean, not just killing his fitness, but also just being a really good guy. Like
he's so friendly.
So friendly, is always talking so he's such a nice dude. Yeah, he's very positive, wants to learn.
Extremely coachable.
Kind of everything that we just talked about. Yeah. Like who you want to be as a person. Like he's really just
even on Sunday, like Sarah was doing her open workout. He stuck around to cheer for her. Yeah. He had literally been at the gym on Sunday from 8 a.m. from Run Club until
12:30 till we close.
12:30.
Yeah.
He ran 11K, then he did the group class, then he stayed around to cheer on a fellow athlete,
and colleague.
Literally phenomenal person. Yeah, it's true. Sarah's the one who brought him to CrossFit Max, which is amazing.
Yeah. She's got a big heart. So thanks, Saini, for being such a
beautiful person inside and out.
Yeah, thanks for being such a good dude. And we hope that you guys got some good value out of this. Thanks for listening to me open up. Thanks for hearing Susie crush me in the open workout. If you
That's really the big takeaway of the episode. I forgot to say that. If you guys want to support
us, there's a link down below to buy us a protein shake. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Enough of us. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. See ya.